And welcome to Pre-Calculus 12, and my topic is about circle, the first conic section. Circle defined as set of points on the coordinate plane that are of equal distance from a fixed point. As you can see, there's a figure here, it's a circle. The red point is our center, point negative 2, 3. Center defined as our fixed point, while the 2 points are the radius, point negative 2, 6 and point negative 2, 0. Radius is always equal distance from our center. We have two equations, general and standard equation. In general equation, we have ax squared plus by squared plus 6x plus ty plus e equals 0, where our equation is always equal to 0. In standard equation, we have the formula of our circle, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where r is a radius. We have the sample equation, x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 6y minus 3 equals 0. This is an example of a general equation because our equation is equal to 0. Number 2, x squared plus y squared minus 12x plus 8y equals 0. This is also an example of general equation because our equation is equal to 0. To finding vertex and radius using the equation, we have x squared plus y squared minus 12x plus 8y equals 0. First, you have to regroup all the variables in order to find the coefficient and factor it. We have parentheses x squared minus 12x, leave a blank for the coefficient, plus y squared plus 8y, blank for coefficient, equals 0. To find the coefficient of this, we have formula. Our formula is b over 2 squared. b, this is our b. We have substitute the b, negative 12 over 2 squared equals, that's 36, plus 36. Next is the 8y. We have 8 over 2 squared equals, that's 16, plus 16. Always remember this. If you add or subtract something from the left side, you also have to do that in the right side. So our equation will become plus 36 plus y squared plus 8y. We have to add plus 36 plus 60. So the 0 will disappear. Next, we have to factor this, and add this. We have the factor of x squared minus 12x plus 36 equals to x minus 6 plus the factor of y squared plus 8y plus 16 y plus 4 squared equals, have 36 plus 16 equals to 52. To find the center and the radius, you have to change the sign of this and this. So we have 6 from negative 6 and y from positive 4 to negative 4. While our radius, to find our radius, we have to square root this.
So, square root of 52 equals to 2 square root of 3. So there, this is our center.
Let's proceed to second example. Our second example is, the given is the vertex and the radius. We have to turn this from general equation. We have to use two methods in solving circle. First is the long method. In circle, we have formula. The x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. In this case, we have to substitute the negative 2 and 3 from h and k. This is the h, negative 2, 3k. So we have x minus negative 2, which is the h from this, squared, plus y minus k, which is the 3, squared, equals 4 squared. So let's simplify this first. We have to times the sign. It will become x plus 2 squared, or simply change the sign from negative to positive, plus y minus 3 squared equals 4 squared equals to 16. Next, we have to expand it. We have x squared, or shortcut, x squared plus 2 multiplied by 2 is 4 times x, 4x, then squared the 2 plus 4 plus, do it again, then y squared, negative 3 times 2, negative 6 times y, negative 6y, then negative 3 squared equals 9, plus 9 equals 16. Then kindly simplify it. 6 squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 6y plus 4 plus 9. Move this to the left side. It will become negative 16 equals 0. Remember, the standard equation is always equal to 0. Simplify this. We have x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 6y. 4 plus 9, 13, minus 16 equals to negative 3 equals 0. So that's it. This is our standard equation in long cut method. Next is the shortcut method. We have the same given. In circle, we always have x squared plus y squared. And then, to find the cx, we have to multiply the h variable, this is negative 2 to 2. Negative 2 times 2 equals negative 4 times x, negative 4x. But this time, we have to change the sign from negative 4x to plus 4x. Next is the dy. To find this, we have to multiply 3 times 2 times y. We have 3 times 2, 6 times y, we have 6y, and then change the sign, negative 6y. To find the e variable, we have to use the negative 2, 3, and then 4. In solving that, we have negative 2 squared, we have to square it, 3 squared, and then the 4 squared. We have 4 plus 9. 4 squared equals 16. But this time, we have to change the sign also. We have 4 squared equals 16 minus 16 to change the sign equals to negative 3. So, negative 3 equals 0. That's it. This is our standard equation now using shortcut method.
We have the second conic section, which is parabola, which kind of looks like this. It's a curve where any point is at an equal distance from a fixed point and a fixed straight line. So fixed point, which is the focus, is denoted by F, and the directrix, which is the fixed straight line, is denoted by X or Y. Also, we have our vertex, which is the highest or lowest point of the parabola, which is also the point where the direction kind of changes. Like, for example, going downwards, and then there's the vertex, and then the direction goes upwards once again. And then we have the latus rectum, which is a line segment that passes through the focus and parallel to the directrix. For the standard equation of the parabola, we have two different kinds, one for vertical and one for horizontal. For vertical, we have x minus h quantity squared is equals to 4p times quantity y minus k. And for horizontal, we have y minus k quantity squared is equals to 4p times quantity x minus h. For the general formula of the parabola, we may use ax squared plus bx plus cy plus d is equals to 0, or ay squared plus bx plus cy plus d is equals to 0. In order to get the properties of the parabola, we must get the standard and general formula. Say we have our vertex at point 0, 7 and our focus at point 4, 7. We must first identify the axis, and we know that it's going horizontal. It's horizontal going right. So we must use y minus k quantity squared is equals to 4p times quantity x minus h. To get p, I usually use distance formula. So I have this equation right here, and in the end it becomes 4. P is equals to 4. So we should apply this to the formula. And h and k is actually the value of the vertex, so we must substitute it to the formula as well. So we have y minus 7 quantity squared is equals to 4 times x minus 0. And then when we simplify that, we get this formula, which is the standard formula. To get the general equation, we must expand and equate to 0. So we would get this equation. And then let's equate it there. And that is the general equation. If we were to transform it back to standard form, we should separate the variables and complete the square, just like in circle. So we separate it, put a blank, and then add it to both sides, and now we have it back to standard form. If you were to find the properties of the parabola derived from the general equation, then you must first transform the general form to standard form by doing what we did just now. And then you can find the properties way quicker and way easier with the standard form. After this, we would get the properties using the table right here. We already know the vertex and the focus to begin with because it is the given. And we already know the opening because it's kind of self-explanatory if you were to plot it in the Cartesian coordinate plane. And the p, we also got it. Or if you were to solve it once more, we should get the 16 and divide it by 4, so we would have 4. The latus rectum is 4 times 4, and the directrix is x is equals to 0 minus 4. So we have x is equals to negative 4 for the directrix. It is x because the axis of the parabola is horizontal. Thank you. We're done. Next.
So now let's talk about ellipse. So ellipse is a set of points on the coordinate plane such that the sum of the distances from two fixed points called foci are constant. So we have here the center, which serves as the reference of our ellipse, and it is located on coordinate h and k. And we have also the focus or the foci, which are the points positioned inside the ellipse. It is the one that determines the curvature and the shape of our ellipse. And we have the major axis, which is the longest line segment of our ellipse, and it passes through our focus and our center. And we have here the vertex, which are the endpoints of our major axis, and we also have the minor axis, which is the shortest line segment of our ellipse, and its endpoints are called co-vertex. This is an example of horizontal ellipse, and this one is vertical ellipse. So the idea of ellipse here is, for example, we have point A here and point B here, and that if you connect them to the focus, so as the other point to the focus, their distances, when you add them, it will always be the same. They will always be constant. So our general equation for ellipse is ax squared plus by squared plus cx plus dy plus e is equals to 0, where our a and b should be greater to 0, and our a and b should have the same sign. And our standard equation is quantity of x minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k quantity squared over b squared equals to 1. And now let's solve for the general equation given some of its properties. So we will use the table right here. So for example, we have the center located at -3 and 7, and the minor axis which is equals to 8, and the focus located at -1 and 7. So first we need to consider what is the axis of this ellipse. So by observation, we can see that this is horizontal ellipse because as you can see, it changes on the x-axis, while on the y-axis it remains the same. So we need to know the value of the h, the k, the a, and b, as well as the c. So we already know what h and k is from the center, so we need to find the other values. So we will use the minor axis, which is equals to 8. So it says here, minor axis is 2b, so we will equate that to 8. And divide both sides by 2, and we will get the b. And then we will use the value for the focus, h plus minus c, and we will use the plus only. And then we substitute the -3, and then we need to transpose it so that we can get the value of the c. And then to get the a, we will use this equation right here, but we need to derive the a squared first. So a squared will be equal to c squared plus b squared. Then substitute the given, and our a will be equal to square root of 20. Now that we know that the different values that we need, we can substitute it into our standard equation. So substitute the given values here and perform and simplify them. So now we have this, and now we need to find the LCD of these two. So to find that, what I do is that I find the LCM of these two numbers, and that would be 4, and I divide that number to one of the given. For example, I chose 16, and 16 divided by 4 is 4, and then I multiply it to the other given or number, which will be 20. So 4 times 20 is 8. But you can also use other techniques that you know. And then what we do is we divide 80 by 20, then multiply it by 1. So that will be 4. 80 divided by
16.
That will be multiply by 1. That will be 5. So, and multiply 80 by 1. And then we need to square the binomial. So to square, just square the first term, multiply the first and second term, that will be 3x, and multiply it by 2, then square the last term, and do it here as well. And then we need to distribute the number or the coefficient here to all the terms, as well as this one. And then you need to equate it to 0. So we transfer that 80 to the other side. And then combine all like terms and simplify. And this will be our final answer. So now let's compute for the properties given its general equation. So for example, we have this given 9x squared plus 25y squared minus 36x plus 150y plus 36 equals to 0. So first thing we do is that we regroup the terms with a similar variable. We group the x, all those with x variable and all those with y variable. And then we transfer on the other side and those that do not have variable. And then we factor out to remove the coefficient from the squared variable. So we need to factor the 9 here and the 25 here. So negative 36 divided by 9 will be 4, and 150 divided by 25 will be 6. And take note, we always leave a blank right here so that we can complete the squares later on. And now we will need to do that, to complete the square. So to complete the square, just consider the middle term, and then divide the coefficient of this to 2. That will be negative 2, then square it. So it will be equal to 4. And do it on here as well. And then don't forget to do the addition property of equality. So whatever you add here, you add it on the other side as well. But take note, you need to multiply it first with the one that we factored out earlier. Okay, and then we just cancel that out because that will be equal to 0. And then we factor out the perfect square trinomial. We factor this out. So to factor that, we just get the x, and then we divide the negative 4 right here by 2, or the middle term coefficient by 2. So that will be x minus 2 quantity squared, and here is that. We have y plus t quantity squared. And we need to divide both sides by 225 so that it will be equal to 1. And we have it right here. The 25 divided by 9 is 25, and 225 divided by 25 is equal to 9. And then equals to 1. And now we have the standard equation, so we can already determine the different properties of our ellipse. So we first need to know what is the axis of this ellipse. So the axis of this is, as you can see, is horizontal because the A is greater than the B. 25 is greater than 9. And then we consider the values of H, K, A, B, and C. So we already know the H and K. It is here 2. And because this is positive 3, when you equate that to 0, it will be equal to negative 3. And then we get the A, the square root of 25 is 5. And for the B, we need to square root this out. So that will be 3. And for the C, we will just subtract 25 and 9, and that will be 16, and get the square root of it, which would be 4. Let's consider getting the center, which will be C is equals to 2 and negative 3, and the foci. So always remember, on the foci, we always add the C depending on the axis. So we have the horizontal, so we will add it on the H. So H plus C is equals to 6, and copy the value of K, which is negative 3, and 2 minus 4, that will be negative 2 and negative 3. And for the vertices, we have here H plus A, and in the vertex, it depends on the axis of your ellipse. But because this is horizontal, we add it on the x-axis, the A on the x-axis. So H plus A is 7, just copy the K, then 2 minus 5 is negative 3, copy the value of K. To get our co-vertices, which is just the opposite of our vertices, we just need to add the K and B or minus them. So negative 3 plus 3, it will be 0. So just copy the value of the H right here. And then negative 3 minus 3, it will be equal to 6. And for the major axis, just multiply the A by 2. And for the minor axis, just multiply the 3 by 2. There we have it. So good to know. Here are some application of ellipse. So planets orbit the sun in elliptical paths with the sun at one focus. And then we have here a whispering chamber, which are designed with elliptical domes so that a person whispering at one focus can easily be heard by someone standing at the other focus. So that's amazing.
Hello, my name is Erin, Jylliane, Dandin, and I'm here to talk about hyperbola. Hyperbola is the set of all points in a plane whose difference of the distance from two fixed point foci are constant. And this is how a hyperbola looks like. First, we have the center. It is the reference point of our hyperbola. And these are the foci. Foci are points positioned inside the hyperbola. It is the one that determines the curvature and shape of the hyperbola. While the transverse axis is a line that is parallel to the axis of hyperbola. It contains the center, foci, and vertices. This is the transverse axis. While the vertex, this one, it is the deflection point of your hyperbola. And the co-vertices serve as the boundary of the imaginary rectangle of a hyperbola. The rectangle serves as the reference of the symptotes of the hyperbola. So this, as you can see, is the co-vertex. While the conjugate axis is a line that is perpendicular to the axis of hyperbola. It contains the co-vertices of hyperbola, this straight vertical. So for the general equation of hyperbola, this is just the same, but take note of the signs. For horizontal axis, it's ax squared minus by squared plus cx plus dy plus e is equals to 0. While the vertical axis, negative ax squared plus by squared plus cx plus dy plus e is equals to 0. Always remember that the signs can change depending on the given for the problem. Next is the standard equation. For horizontal axis, we have x minus h quantity squared all over a squared minus y minus k quantity squared all over b squared is equals to 1. While the vertical axis is negative x minus h quantity squared all over a squared plus y minus k quantity squared all over b squared is equals to 1. Take note, just like a while ago in the general equation, the signs are different. Horizontal axis, the y variable is negative while the x variable is the negative 1. So for this table, always take note of this. You have to remember the properties because this will be important for the next topic. Now let's start to solve for the general equation of the hyperbola. We have the given here, center 2 and negative 5. The transverse axis is 16, conjugate axis is 12, and the hyperbola opens horizontally. So this is the whole equation. I will explain it one by one. As you can see, I use colored markers for it to have guide. You won't be confused about the numbers on how we substitute it. So just like the given, it says it opens horizontal. So this will be the formula. Now we have to find the values of h and k, a, and b. So look here in the side, the h will be the 2, k is negative 5. Now in finding for the transverse axis, you have to look at the table here a while back. And base it here, it says that the transverse axis is 2a. So the a will be 8 because you have to equate 2a to 16. So 16 divided by 2 will be 8. And the same for conjugate axis. It will be the value of b, so it's 6. Now that we have the values, we have to substitute and always mind the sign. So it will be x minus 2 quantity squared all over a squared minus y minus negative 5 quantity squared all over 6 squared is equals to 1. After you substitute it, you have to perform the necessary operation. So this will be 64 and this will be 36. And then you have to expand this. So it will be x squared minus 4x plus 4, and the other one is y squared plus 10y plus 25. And then to remove the denominator, you have to find their LCD. So the 64 and 36, their LCD is 576. So what you need to do is 576 divided by 64 will be 9, and then 576 divided by 36 will be 16. Once you got the values, you have to multiply them to the ones who has quantity or the ones you expanded. So it will be 9x squared minus 36x plus 36, and the same way for this will be negative 16y squared minus 160y minus 400 equals 576. Now you have to arrange them just like in the standard equation. It has to be 9x squared minus 16y squared minus 36x minus 160y plus 36 minus 400 minus 576 is equals to 0. 576 was transposed to the left side so that it will equate to 0. So the final answer is 9x squared minus 16y squared minus 36x minus 160y minus 940 is equals to 0. So this is what I'm talking about when I say that the table is important because we'll be using it to solve for its properties using the general equation. So the given here is 9x squared minus 4y squared plus 5x plus 8y plus 41 is equals to 0. First step is you have to combine like terms. So it will be 9x squared plus 54x plus blank. You have to leave it because it has a value plus negative 4y squared plus 8y plus blank is equals to negative 41. 41 was transposed to the other side. That's why it's negative. And then after this, you have to separate this So it will be 9x squared plus 6x plus 9. In order for you to get 6x, you have 54 divided by 9 is equals to 6. And to get 9, you have to divide 6 to 2 and then square the answer. So 6 divided by 2 is equals to 3. 3 squared is equals to 9. While this one, negative 4 times y squared minus 2y plus 1, just like what I said, 8 divided by negative 4 is equals to negative 2, and then negative 2 divided by 2 is equals to 1. 1 squared is equals to 1 is equals to negative 41 plus 81 and negative 4. You have 2. 9 times 9 is equals to 81. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. So why are we doing this? Because of the loss of equality. After this, you have to factor them out. So it will be 9x plus 3 quantity squared minus 4y minus 1 quantity squared is equals to 36. Now, you have to divide all of them to 36 so that 36 divided by 36 will be 1. And then 36 divided by 9 is equals to 4. 36 divided by 4 is equals to 9. So after this, we can now get the values of its properties. H is equals to negative 3 and K is negative 1. Why is it negative 3? Because the formula here is x minus H. So negative times negative will be positive. So always minus. While the A is negative 2 and B is negative 3 because square root of 4 is equals to 2 and square root of 9 is equals to 3. While the C is square root of 13. How did we get this? Look at the table here. A squared plus B squared. So 4 plus 9 is equals to 13. And then you have to remove the square. So you have to put square root here. And since it's not a perfect square, so you have to put it. So for the center is H and K, so it's negative 3 plus 1. While the foci, look at the table, H plus minus C and K. So negative 3 plus square root of 13 and 1. And the other one is negative 3 minus square root of 13 and 1 K. While V is H plus minus A and K. So negative 3 plus 2 is equal to negative 1. And then negative 3 minus 2 is equal to negative 5. So for the covertex, we have H and K plus minus B. So the constant is H, so negative 3, negative 3. And then K plus B, 1 plus 3 is equals to 4. And 1 minus 3 is equals to negative 2. This should be negative 2. So negative 2. Sorry for that. And then for the transverse axis, 2a. So 2 times 2 is equals to 4. And the conjugate is 2 times 3 is equals to